All right, there we are. Nice. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Email Marketing 101 webinar in partnership with Mailchimp. And then on the line, we also have Marta from Mailchimp, who will be introducing the platform since it's fairly new in this region of the world, right? But it's a system that is widely used in a variety of industries across many different countries and region. And then we also have Victory Tom, who's part of VLE, and yeah, he's just here for assistance and seeing if everything runs smoothly. So, Marta, you can please take it away. I hope you're feeling good, by the way.
Uh, I'm feeling great. Hi, everyone. Like Bob said, I'm Martha. I'm part of the Mailchimp team. So it's really great to be here with you today. So I want to jump right in and explain what email marketing is. So, starting with the very basics, uh, email marketing is not just like blasting out messages to random people. It's strategic relationship building. So it's how you cultivate trust, build brand awareness, and drive meaningful engagement with your customers. So the sweet spot here is delivering exact message your customer needs at the exact right time. So with email marketing, you get a direct line of communication to your audience. So unlike social media or paid ads, where you're completely depending on like an algorithm that's completely shifting all the time, or rising ad spends, uh, email guarantees just that direct access. So to ensure your messages actually reach your audience. So for us, for Mailchimp, we guarantee an average deliverability rate of more than 99% to keep your emails out of the spam folder. So that way, everyone gets an email, is in their inbox. They really can't ignore it. I'm not sure how you start your day, but the first thing that I do in the morning is just open my email. Uh, so it's just a way that it's to see the first thing in the morning. Maybe it won't directly convert to sales, but it will keep it on top of your mind at all times because you're seeing it constantly. So the important thing here now is how to exactly capture leads. So how do you build this list of interesting customers that you want to target? Um, so this is how and why we use a landing page. So a landing page is like a purpose-built, simple web page with an embedded sign-up form. So you can share a link to this page on your social media or tell people about it on your shop. When customers visit this page, they can easily just submit their email addresses to join your list. Uh, Often people then exchange it for a guide, a discount, or industry tips, depending on what type of business you are and what you exactly want them to get. But it's
Right.
just a welcome for them signing up, and then you getting that information. So this automatically allows you to build a clean list, consented, which is very important, of people that actually want to hear from you. So these people do take the time to sign up, so they're doing it because they want to. So if you, for
Great.
example,
Sorry to cut you off there, Martha. I was just gonna add one more thing that everything that you're talking about, things like your landing pages, we do actually have demos that we're gonna show later on in the presentation, just to show people what exactly a landing page is and how do we stay compliant, right? And those were some of the things that you mentioned. So yeah, just you can carry on.
yes, we'll have practical examples later on because right now is very just theoretical, and I want you and Bob wants you to see what it actually looks like in practice. So once you have your list, how you communicate then depends entirely on who you're selling to. For example, B2B business, B2B, if you sell your products or services to other businesses, the buying process takes time. So converting a prospect uh, business client is a journey that often requires like a lot of touch points. So email will be the way that you cultivate that trust, that you nurture those leads, and then you guide those decision makers step by step through that whole long cycle of sales. So by delivering specific business value. For B2C, if you sell directly to everyday customers, purchases are often built on speed, on relevance, on immediate engagement. So for B2C, email is just highly effective for sending like quick welcome messages, sharing promos, or for example, recovering abandoned shopping carts to encourage repeat purchases, letting people know that a certain item they buy frequently is back in stock if it runs out of stock. So that way, uh, you keep that um, buying cycle just constantly going on a loop. Uh, so now I want to explain to you what automations are. So to get the best results, you don't have to send those emails manually. Imagine if you have like a customer base of 20,000 people, sending that email one by one would be just impossible. It will be time consuming. So uh, the secret just lies on automation. So Boff will show you afterwards what exactly that is, but those allow you to set up like your emails once the system once you build it in the system, and then it will deliver them automatically based on, for example, specific customer actions. So imagine a new user signs up on your landing page, Mailchimp can automatically send them a welcome email instantly. Even if they sign up in the middle of the night while you're asleep, that's a way to just trigger the automation. You can also send them specific reminders depending on what they do. So when you utilize like those automation flows to deliver those messages at the right timing, the results are really good. I'm not just saying that, like Boff will show you a specific example as well. So in especially with Mailchimp, and I will be a little bit biased here because I work there, but statistically, Mailchimp customers generate up to 9 times more revenue once they use those automation flows. So within that, you also have like behavior targeting and advanced segmentation. So we use those to maximize your conversion rates. Uh, So by tracking how a prospect, for example, interacts with your emails or landing pages, you can then segment them, group them together. So based on what they need, their behaviors or their interests. Uh, so if you have a shop and someone keeps buying, for example, uh, just lipstick, you can group those into what they're buying so they don't get random messages about something they don't care about. So it's very important that they're getting the information they want and not just the generic thing that goes out to everyone, because sometimes and most of the times people actually just want to click on what they're interested in. So why Mailchimp? I have to do this part, of course. Mailchimp is the #1 email marketing platform. So with like we have about 11 million current customers, so just globally, and we send about 700 million daily emails to power businesses worldwide. So we've evolved past basic email into just a one in all marketing platform. So we can also run ads, social media inside of Mailchimp itself. So with Mailchimp, we also have AI power tools that help you quickly generate, write, and optimize your professional copy. Custom landing page builder, so you can build your actually actual landing page inside the platform as well. So those are, like I said before, to capture and convert qualified leads. You can segment, like I said, so target prospects dynamically by behavior or their interests, and also analytics. So they track when people open your emails, when they click a link, when they visit your landing page, and uh, a lot of just behaviors. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Bob so he can show you with specific examples exactly everything I just mentioned.
Yeah, well, thank you for that introduction, Marta. I mean, it's a quick overview into what Mailchimp is and what it does. By getting into the meat of the presentation, right, to show those demos that and all of those functionalities that you talked about. But starting off, just to introduce people to us and who we are, who's VLE Advertising Group. We are a local marketing agency, 100% citizen owned. And then we are what we call a 360-degree agency in the sense that we assist companies with strategy, implementation, maintenance, and reporting. We are also 360 or a full service in the sense that we do or we offer services like your email marketing, your WhatsApp chatbots, your SEO and social media. And again, still full service in the sense that we carry you through the whole sales cycle, right? Starting with the lead generation, engaging those leads, conversion, as well as helping you retain the clients that you already have. And at the bottom here, these are some of our clients that have been with us for years. Um, and then more of this information is in our company profile, which we've been sharing, and we'll also share more of that after the webinar. So going into the email marketing bit is first of all trying to understand the challenges that as marketers we face, right? Things like your poor lead capture and organization or management, because right now it's very hard for people to capture leads or qualified leads that they could later remarket to, right? And then the solution to that would be marketing solutions with CRM capabilities, which is exactly what Mailchimp offers. Within Mailchimp, it's able, as Mata said, you are able to capture leads using those sign up forms, but you are also able to manage and organize those leads by segmenting them by interest so that you can later send them targeted email campaigns. And then another challenge is information overload, especially we see that a lot on social media platforms. Even worse now with AI generated content, right? So there's a lot of information and it's becoming increasingly harder for your prospects to filter which one is legit and which one is not, which is where email comes in. Because if you have your own built database, you can even send them direct marketing, right? And the good thing about email, you can send this long form, what we call long form marketing material that really educates your prospects about your product or about your service. And then also there's, especially in B2B, what we call it takes longer to close a sale. Why? Because customers need a lot of information about your product. You know, when we look at things like your insurance industry, banking industry, the car industry, people need a lot of information because before they can actually make that purchase. So email marketing solves that because it's a great way of free marketing to the leads that you have so that you're always top of the mind whenever they're ready to make that purchase. And then moving on. So with the strategy when it comes to email marketing, we like mixing or having a healthy balance between what we call sales activation campaigns. So these would be the campaigns that are mainly we're looking at things like, generating leads. How many leads did we get? How many of those leads actually converted into sales, right? And it's usually targeting people that are already what we call in market audience. These are the people that know exactly what they want, and are ready to make the purchase as long as they can identify somebody who can provide that service or product. And then we also mix that with the brand building element. Brand building, looking at that long term lead nurture, right? Trying to establish you as a thought leader in your industry, basically to build trust. And we do that by the educational content that is more value driven, really educating people about some of the challenges within that industry, just so that you're not coming off as too salesy. You are also providing them with some sort of value that will benefit them as they're using your product or as they're comparing you to other service providers or other companies. So the whole system, what it looks like, could be summed up with a diagram like this. This, of course, is simplified and a more generic structure is going to look different from client to client, from industry to industry. But it's usually starting off with the first stage, which are the first two steps, which we've also mentioned or briefly mentioned about the lead generation element, right? Whether people see you from your Facebook or your Facebook ads, and then the Facebook ad leads to a landing page, or whether it's at events where we also provide you with a QR code like this that is also linked to this landing page where we can gather all of that data and information. Things like so this is important because it really shows how we try to also incorporate the traditional forms of advertising into the digital advertising, where we, example, give you a QR code like this for you to put in your branding materials, or billboard if you're running billboard ads, or any pamphlets that people can easily scan and we can gather that data, right? And then after we have that data, their email, their name, sometimes the kind of industry that they're in, sometimes their position at work. Like I said, this will heavily depend on the kind of industry that you are in and what you're looking, what's the main objective for the data that you're collecting. And then once that's done, now we are ready to send our prospects or our leads regular emails, right? And as Mata mentioned also, email one could be a simple welcome email. Email two could be, again, as we said, and we have more examples to look at. That would be your value-driven emails. Then email three, for example, could be a survey where you are trying to get just feedback on your products, right? And as well as email four. And as you see, you can even time it or set the frequency for sending out these emails. So the first one is usually best for it to be instant right away. As soon as somebody sign up, they get that welcome email. And then email number two, you could set it up for 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, a month later, then they get email two, and so forth. So this part of the stage is what we call the lead nurture stage, as well as optimizing it for sales, as well as after sales um, service. Because even after people buy from you, you still want to support them with relevant information that educates them about the product or the service. So going into the actual demos of how we'll start with the landing page or that sign up form, right? That we say our ad leads to. And I'm gonna switch over to a different screen to show you exactly how it would look like once that's set up and live. So right now I should be sharing a different screen. And then for this demo, we used insurance as an example, right? So if you have you're running your Facebook ads or you have your event where people can scan that QR code, that leads them to a landing page like this, right? So it just as you see, it has a lot of functionalities from just the pictures to different types of fonts. And then here's the part where we are able to get their email, right? They'll be able to put their email, get their name, get their phone number if you need a phone number and it's important to you. And then, as I said, this demo, we used insurance. And then here we'd like to know the kind of insurance or the kind of policy that our prospect is interested in, whether it's car, home, or valuables. And then this again is also important for segmenting, right? Mata briefly mentioned segmentation earlier on. In terms of how it's important to segment our audiences so that we can send them emails that are specific to them. Because if somebody selects car here, it would be appropriate to send them emails about car insurance or house insurance if that's what they selected, right? And then going further down, we have this section here about data protection. We know our data protection here in Botswana was just amended not too long ago. So it's very important that you have people's explicit consent to send them future marketing campaigns. So that is the whole exercise of this section right here. And then at the end, after they've given you their information, they can, whether download a brochure if you are sharing more information about your product or service or get a code. But yeah, we usually like having things like download brochure because it acts as a lead magnet, right? People don't feel like they're just giving you the information for free. They feel like they're also getting something in return. And again, doing things like your brochures or anything that you'd have to share, we also help with designing that and everything. And then going further down, still on the landing page, right? It can still act as a mini website where you share more about your company, more about your product, right? So that people can know more about what you do. So that was the whole purpose of showing this. For now, we're just using the same image for the purposes of this demo and exercise. But of course, if it's a final product, you're going to have different imagery, different information that's relevant to that specific product that you are trying to push. So I'm all gonna switch back now back to the presentation. Or well, maybe before this, let me just share maybe another different example of a landing page. I shared insurance before, so this would be an example in banking, right? If they're trying to push their POS system, and then to businesses, and then yeah, this could be another example of a sign-up page where you get people's email, their phone numbers, the company that they work at, their position, to know if you're talking to junior staff or seniority, because that affects the tone of the emails, right? The way you talk to junior staff is a little bit different than your C-suite, for example, right? And then here also the industry, they're able to select the industry that they're in. And then, like what we saw before, similarly, we still have the Data Protection Act, the Data Protection provision, and we'll always have this. And again, it could act as your mini website sharing more about your company or your product. So that would be the landing page, or that would cover the first stage of what we call lead generation. Um, and then the reports that you get, these would be some of the metrics, the important metrics that you get, from click rates, how many people are clicking on the buttons that you have on your landing page or on your sign up page, right? The visits that it gets, how many people are viewing it, as well as the sign-ups, how many people are signing up on there. These are great because they also help us in optimizing the landing page as we go as we go on. Because if you notice that you have more visits, but people aren't signing up, that could be a signal that, maybe something's not working as it should, right? So we go check that, or maybe the message isn't resonating with the people. So we tweak that a little bit, which is why the metrics or the data is always very important to see if what we are trying to do is actually translating into the actual output that we want. So, as I've said, that would cover your first stage or your lead generation stage. So, once you have your leads, you are now ready to send them those emails. And similarly, with the emails, we have examples here that we will share with you. I'm just going to switch to a different screen. So this would be after somebody signs up, this could be an example of a welcome email, right? Again, we're using insurance for this demo where you could share, we are not your traditional insurance. This is insurance done right. And the email is personalized in the way that we address people by their names. It's never just too generic, like dear valued customer. No, we like making it personalized. It's one of the things that make people feel valued, and it builds that trust with you. I mean, trust with your prospects, right? And then going on to say, welcome to company ABC. We're glad to have you here. And then you share more. Back to what I was talking about earlier on how on email you are able to provide that long form marketing or that long form value driven content that you're not able to share via social media, for example, right? Here, yes, you see, you're able to really share in detail and in depth more about your products and even include or incorporate imagery into it. And then going down, we have what we call the call to actions or the buttons. So you could have something like email us, call us, or book appointment, right? Because the whole purpose, like I said, is trying to optimize for that sale. And yeah, for usually for you to get that sale, it usually somebody has to book an appointment. People have to call you or they have to email you, right? Which is why we have all of these buttons here, again, to optimize for that sale. And then going further down, we have more functionalities like that, able to share email on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or share it with a colleague, right? Especially in B2B, where we know that it usually takes a team, a whole procurement department before they onboard a new system or they buy any new product. So there's a very great functionality in the sense that people are able to share the email with their bosses and the whole team basically to aid their decision making in their meetings. And then lastly, here at the bottom, it's more on data protection. As you know, one of the provisions that on the Data Protection Act, people have to be able to opt out of your marketing at any time, right? Which is why we have these buttons here. People are able to unsubscribe, or they're also able to update the information that you already have on them that they filled out in that first stage of the sign up form, right? So if they've changed maybe their email or they've changed companies, they'll be able to update all of that information using the section here, which will be in every email. So every email footer will have your the data protection section. Right. So that would be your email number one. And then say maybe in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks or a month later, you want to send them a different email. Um, this could be email number two, right? So again, for the purposes of the demos, we're using insurance and we're also using the same imagery. But then email number two could be something also that gets more in depth about, the product. And as I've said, we try to strike that balance between sales activation and that educational or that value-driven content, right, for brand building. So this is more on the educational side, right? You are educating your prospects about three things most people get wrong about insurance. And the email just goes more in depth about number one, your home contents are not automatically covered. Things like comprehensive car insurance is not the same as third party. And then underinsuring can cost you more in the long run, right? So you see, this is more of that value-driven content that a lot of people don't really get to see on the social media. But then with email, because you are able to send it directly to that inbox and you are also able to share more of it, it really is kind of like killing, two birds with one stone. As I've said at the top here, we have more value driven, and then at the bottom here, we have our call to actions that are more sales driven in the sense that they're trying to connect us with our prospects, whether through email or whether through calls or whether through booking appointments, right? And then again, we see more of the same functionalities of being able to share the email as well as data protection. And then this an example again, as I've said, for insurance, let me just show a different email. This would be property market. If it's somebody that's in the property market, and you are just sharing your annual report, again, email is one of the great tools to do that. Because as we see here, people can directly download any kind of documents really from email that are vital to your product or service. And then start survey, I'll get to that in a bit. But as you see, we still have contact us as we had in the other emails, and then also the other same functionalities that we saw. And again, I have to emphasize the fact that, as I've said, all of this, we do it in-house at VLE, from the photos to the copywriting of the emails to just the overall visuals and the layout of the email. So we do everything in-house. All you have to do is just sit with us for the consultations to understand your goal more. And then also, if you feel like there's some things to change, you let us know and then we change that. But yes, it's not a situation whereby you'll be dealing with a lot of service providers. It's everything is done in-house. Right. So going on to surveys, I briefly touched on that another great functionality is the surveys that a lot of our clients like and use. Why? Because it's a great way to get feedback about your product or service. It's a great way to get, a lot of companies do what we call the brand perception survey, just to see the outlook or what are people thinking about their brand in the market, right? A survey is a great way to do that. Another way people use surveys is for product development, right? Trying to get feedback about the product, some of the features that their customers like, that they could include in their next product, or that they could maybe take away if it's a feature that didn't resonate well with most of their customers. So another email is also a great way to do that. Let's show an example of a survey here. So when they click that button, the survey button, it would take them to a survey again for the purposes of the demo we used, or this time around we used the medical insurance industry, where, they're trying to get how confident are you in understanding what services in your group health plan require a co-payment, right? Then people can rate from 0 to 10. Um, And then, how confident are you in understanding what services in your group health plan require a co-payment? Okay, same question, but see, so the buttons are also, we have different buttons, the radio buttons, as you see, we have the ratings here. And then at the bottom here, we have checklist. We even have open-ended questions where people are able to just type in words, right? And then when they're done with the survey, they'll be able to submit, and you get all the metrics or all the analytics that you need, right? How people answered, who answered what, and the whole summary. So now I'm just gonna switch back to the presentation. So we had a look at the landing pages. We had a look at email one as an example being a welcome email. And then saying, for example, 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, you send them email two. And then after email two again, a month later, you send them another email, which could be a survey or which could be linked to a survey, right? So that's the whole, when Marta mentioned email automations, um, at a high level, we're talking about something like this or a system architecture that looks something like this. It takes you all the way from that lead generation to lead nurture, where you're sending people regular emails, and it's all automated, right? So you don't have to do it manually, and it scales with the number of people that you have in your contacts, right? So if you have 20,000 people in your email contacts, even better. If you have less, same thing happens. So it just scales as your contact database expands. And then looking at the analytics, let's have a look at the analytics for our email campaigns. So on the emails that you send, you'll be able to see the open rates. How many people are opening the emails that you are sending to them, right? The click rates, how many people are clicking on those buttons that we saw, the callers buttons, the emailers buttons, the download brochure buttons, right? And then when we look at the bottom here, it even tells you by name and how many times that person opened a specific email or how many times that person clicked on a specific button. And this is vital information, especially for the sales team. Because if you see that somebody opened your email a few times or they clicked on a button a few times, that might be an indication that they might be interested in the product, right? So it might be a good thing maybe to follow up with a call or follow up with an email, just to see if there's any kind of information that you can provide them to help them, come to that decision. So the sunset part here is the actual names, which is why we blurred it out. Again, because of Data Protection Act. But yes, the purpose of this is to show you that, yes, it'll show you by actual names who actually opened your emails and how many times they opened it. And then right here in the middle, we also have analytics regarding the visuals of the emails, right? Is the email easy to skim through? All the links and the call to actions, those buttons that we looked at, are they all working, right? The text and the visuals, did you use a font that's easy to read through, same as typography, right? Are you using fonts that are easy to read, fonts that are just easy on the eye? And then you will get ratings like this that you can use to just improve your email or optimize the schemability or optimize the text or the call to actions. So essentially, that would be the email marketing. So in summary, we are looking at a system that is able to build a whole marketing database that belongs to you. And it's now important, now more than ever, to have your own marketing list as well. Because I know, even though it's kind of an extreme, think of a situation whereby, say, tomorrow Facebook isn't there. It's like, how are you going to market to your people? And even beyond just that, it's great to have your own list that you can also regularly send, um, your marketing material to because they've interacted with your business before, rather than just, not sending them anything, even though it's people that have shown interest in your product or in your service. And then we also looked at a system that really manages leads. It's not only able to capture the leads, but you're also able to segment them by their interests, right? You are also there's more that we didn't cover here. Things like being able to resend emails to people that didn't open your last email. So it's those kind of functionalities that also speak to the lead management of actually trying to send relevant information to the people who've shown interest and targeted email campaigns. Because again, one thing I have to stress with email marketing is just like any other marketing, to be honest, it's all about the numbers, right? The more numbers you have as leads or in your contact database, the better chances you have of closing sales, right? Because say you have 1,000 email, I mean, you have 1,000 people that signed up through your landing page. If you have opening rates of say 50%, that's half of them opening your emails, right? But then if you have 10,000, if you have 50% of them opening your emails, that's 5,000 people. So it's really all in the numbers. So with all the clients that we work with, we really try to help them when it comes to that lead generation aspect so that by the time we want to send emails, at least we are sending it to a healthy email list. And then we also looked at a secure and compliant system that is very much compliant with the Data Protection Act here locally, but is also compliant with the general data protection regulations in the EU and in America as well. As we know, Mailchimp is an international platform that is used in all continents and in various part of the continent, I mean the globe, right? So it's very important for us to stay compliant and to adhere to those international security measures as well. And also we looked at a system that also tries to balance out the digital marketing as well as our more traditional forms of advertising, right? I gave an example with the QR code. If you have your events like your consumer fair, events like the golf days, if you have that QR code that people can scan and you can gather that information and later remarket to them as well as a system that is scalable, no matter if you're dealing with 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 leads, it still performs the way it should perform, right? And also a system that is performance driven, right? Looking at the analytics that we had and some of the metrics that it shows us. It's really the data that's important in helping us optimize our marketing campaigns in order to optimize for that sale in the end. So I believe that's all I had for you right now. I haven't been looking at the Q&A section to see if there's any questions. Um, but then, yeah, if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to take them. And then you'll also receive the a copy, the transcript of the webinar, as well as the recording of the webinar, so that you can share with the people that missed. But essentially, that was email marketing and how we try to help people to bring value to what they do through email marketing, considering that it's a very new system in Botswana. Not a lot of people use email marketing um, like that. There's only a handful of companies that I know that are doing it. And even when you're doing it, it's best that you do it right, which is why we partner with Mailchimp because they have the systems that would support you as a small business or as any business for that matter if you want to go into email marketing. So, in the absence of any questions, which could also be sent over to us, I would say thank you so much for attending. I appreciate your presence in the webinar, and I'll be looking also forward to reconnecting with you later on if you have any more questions or just to follow up to see if there's anything that we can help in terms of providing information that is specific to your specific business. So, and also again, thank you, Marta, for being a part of this with Mailchimp. Your support means a lot. And yeah, looking forward to many of this coming up.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for having me, and have the rest of a good day.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you.